Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back to Ginger's Love Live. Let's see. Get over here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. We are back with another conversation. Well, a continuing conversation tonight. And Ken, he is ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Yes, joining us is Mr. Ken Bright, and on Ginger's Love Live here, we focus on embodying love, purpose, and personal growth.
Hey,
Tonight,
what's
our conversation. Hey, how you doing?
all right? How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm
I am
trying to
good.
get I'm trying to get all my lighting right.
Yeah, get your line right. We need to be able to see you clear.
Yeah, I want y'all to see my cute side.
Your cute
Is that good? Is that straight?
Let me see, because one moment. I'm gonna have to ask the audience. Okay, I see you. Well, from my what I'm seeing, it seems like you sideways.
Okay, is that straight and is that better there?
I mean, you're clear. I see you good, but for whatever there you go. Yeah,
All
I
right.
see your cute side. Don't get nothing on you.
Right. Trying to get just a little bit more the way you can see me better.
Yeah,
Get it together here. All
I'm
right, I think we're good.
gonna get mine together too. Whew.
No, I think I got it.
Yep,
Yeah,
we glad that I can see you good.
yeah. I got one of them old iPhones. I ain't got a
And I think for me, with my iPhone, with me having an Android and you having an iPhone, like on my recording device, I don't see you, but I can see you on my laptop.
oh,
So I see you good.
right.
Okay, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining tonight. You know we missed you last night,
I,
Monday night.
I,
So thank you for
right.
rescheduling and rejoining.
Right. I like that was my fault. That was on me. What's the word we use for unforeseen circumstance? I'm all right. I didn't go to jail or nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't go there, but
yeah,
it was over.
I just had a little murder come up.
Just a little situation, but
Right.
you all good now. And, we're just going to jump right into what our conversation is on. The topic is our vote, our voice, our vote, and just remembering and respecting the sacrifices that our ancestors made. Now, I know we talked about this subject. You have a strong opinion, even though you may joke, about it. You do have a deep passion about how you feel about our voting, us exercising our voting rights. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's just get right into it. And welcome everyone. Before we get started, thank you all for joining us tonight. Don't be shy. Make sure that you engage, comment, ask questions, whatever you have. We are here to answer them.
Right. Just don't come in talking too crazy
Oh,
because I
no.
will.
This is Ginger's love. This is love. So we are respecting one another, opinions, facts, whatever that you want to bring to the table. This is an open discussion. We respect everyone's opinion here on Ginger's love.
Well, let me start out by when it comes to politics. I think a lot of it is subjective. Everybody has the right to vote for who they want to.
Mhm.
Has the right to not vote.
Right.
Uh, everybody has the right to, can't really be people have different reasons for who they vote for. So, but with all that being said, it's still weird to me how some people can support some of the people that they support. You know,
Okay.
I put it like that. But no, saying that, I do respect
Everyone.
Everybody has the right to support whoever they want. Now, as far as the people that don't vote, that's kind of weird to me too, because I was raised in that era. I'll never forget sitting in U.S. history class in 9th and 10th grade and watching those films when people was getting dogs sick on them, and they was putting the water hoses on the kids. Had all these people was sacrificing for us just for the right to vote. You know what I'm saying? And so that's part of the reason that I've always voted, because I know it was people before me that, they was getting German shepherds sick. That's why I hate German shepherds to this day, because of them videos.
Right.
Sticking them down, people making sacrifices. So for that reason, that's the reason that I always vote. You know what I'm saying? Just because it has to be some kind of power in the vote, because the powers to be have never wanted us to vote.
Right.
And so I just take it there. Now from there, it gets real, you know what I'm saying? Because people have different choices, people different reasons. But for me, I will always vote, because that's how I was raised. And like I said, I know that the people before us made big sacrifices for us to vote. So.
And they stood on, what they believed in, what was important. And that was one thing that I made a comment on Monday, is understanding what that really means. And I think if there is a disconnect of what the meaning is behind the sacrifices that was made, the lives that was lost, just to stand up for our right, because we are to be treated equal and in fairness when it comes to we the people as a country. Like, we are to work together for the good of our country and for one another, and not, selfishly doing so.
Right.
So that is important. And so it's just helping people that don't, or whatever reason, like say, we don't know the reason why people choose not to vote, and they just think that their vote doesn't count because they may vote and we don't get the favorable outcome that we want. But that doesn't mean give up. Like, we can't give up on our rights that was fought, that the people before us that fought for our rights. Like, that needs to be honored. I think it needs to be honored. So
well, it's so many aspects in our lives that voting affects, from the schools that your children might go to, the type of laws you might have to deal with in the court system, to people getting health care. So the people that you vote for, they're going to dictate what goes on in your life in a lot of areas.
Most definitely.
Somebody just told me today that they just passed they're trying to cut Medicaid by $800 billion. So, like, can you realize how many people are going to be affected by that? And so it kind of bothers me sometimes to hear people out, man, I ain't going to vote, man. That stuff don't. And whoever you vote for, it really don't matter. But there is a reason that they always and still is trying to block our vote. So you always have to keep that in mind. If our vote wasn't important, they wouldn't go to the measures that they go to try to keep us from voting.
Exactly. And I was doing some research about the number of voters that was eligible. Just because they're eligible doesn't mean that, they could vote, because we have, the felons, underage, people. So they have a count of who can vote, but only like 155 million cast the ballot. And about 90 million, more than 90 million people did not vote. And as far as Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, it was a little over half people that voted. It was 53, if I'm not mistaken, 53.47% of the population of Arkansas who showed up and voted. So
sad, sad, sad. You know what I'm saying? All them people that went through those sacrifices. I feel like everybody, once you turn 18, that you should be voting. And this is the one thing that we have to realize.
Mhm.
No party is going to get it perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
We shouldn't expect any type of perfection for us just to vote. You know, we're going to have to understand, like, I always go with, sometimes you have to choose the lesser of two evils.
Yes,
And
most
because,
certainly.
like I'm not scared to say it. I've been a Democrat but I know that the Democrats don't do everything right. Democrats drop the ball. That Republican Party is just too close to. It represents a certain form of racism to me.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, that's why I'm so strong in my views, because as a black man, it's hard for me to side with anybody that flirts with racism the way that the Republican Party does.
Exactly. And then, so, with that being said, like you say, on both sides of the parties, it's pros and cons. You can pull out a laundry list for the Democrat of what they did wrong from generations, and we can pull out a laundry list of what the Republicans have done wrong that was against the people from our standpoint. And then you have some that's for. So like you say, it's a pros and cons, and that's why I think it's important for us as a people that has not shown any care or thought that their vote matter or our voice matter, because that's all we do have. That is when we can make a difference. It is when we do show up and vote for what we care about or what aligns with our values and our morals. But we have to take the time to do it. Now, you spoke of history, and I don't even know how history. Someone commented on the last Monday that they don't teach history anymore. I haven't been in a classroom or just heard too much about what they're really teaching in history, but that is a thing that they're not even teaching that anymore.
Right. And for all you black people that support the Republicans, guess who got rid of black history? Guess who got rid of black history in the schools? That is a Republican-led agenda. And so for black people to support a party that wants to get rid of black history, that's just weird to me. So, like, I just don't, like, who is black history hurting?
Right. Well, now let's talk about that just from what I see, because I pay attention to different viewpoints and what people are saying. Now, the thought behind the removing of history is saying is teaching racism. Like, we are the ones that are being racist when we talk about the black history and where we come from and how the black people were treated. Like I said, all the things that you named out, as far as the dogs, the beatings, the everything that
the slavery, the hangings, the raping the wives in front of their husbands. But that's history, though. All of history is not good. Now, we have jumped on this bandwagon of teaching that fake Christopher Columbus story for years. But that's still okay, though, to teach a lie about Thanksgiving and this and that. But what is so bad about black history? That it's going to make how is teaching black history racist?
And in that, as we teach black history, how does it help us as a people? What would you say to the people? Because it's some that don't like to revisit the history because of how gruesome and how bad we were treated. And it's really sad. It's heartbreaking. It's hard for me to watch. I can't watch a lot of that, honestly, because my little heart, I can't take it. Like, it's like unbelievable that we were treated like that as human beings. Like, it is very heartbreaking, and I really can't watch it. But what I do think is important is to see the strength and the resilience and what we come over, because we still struggle and we still fight and have challenges to this day because, like you said, it's a fight. It seems to keep us oppressed, keep us in this conditioned mindset. And the most important thing is it keep us divided as a people. And I don't like that for us. You know, we have to, I see a comment in the chat, we have to connect to our disconnect because there's definitely a disconnect. We are disconnected as a people. So how do we get back? Yes, our history is important. We need to know where we come from to know what we're made of, because there's definitely a strength. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you preaching on it now.
But yeah, I mean, we do need that, and whatever it takes. I don't think it helps us to, yeah, we can acknowledge the issues at hand and the things that we still deal with, but it's the waking us up, and then this whole thing, it's a issue with the woke saying or being woke. Like, what's wrong with being aware of what's going on or what has been going on that we were blinded to for so long?
Right. Well, when you have a group of people that benefits from you being asleep,
Mm-hmm.
hell no, they ain't gonna want you to be woke.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing. Anything, us learning our history, us woke and learning about ourselves, like, that's scary to the establishment for some reason. When someone or a group of people is over you or oppressive, they don't ever want you to learn. Like, that's how they keep their power, by keeping you ignorant.
Right.
And so I'm so shocked that so many people jumped on this. So many Black people jumped on this ban about removing the history from the schools. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, once I got to start learning about Black history and start learning, that was my favorite. That was my favorite subject. Because I was like, and it was so powerful to see the way that Black people came together to get the Civil Rights Bill passed, or the Montgomery bus boycott, and all this stuff. You know, all that had to do with about learning history, getting into politics, being involved. So I think we have a problem with being woke. That's really saying we have a problem with Black people not being ignorant and learning how to fight for themselves. No, we have a problem with Black people learning how to come together. Yeah, it's gonna be some little rough spots. What I guess they were talking about in the schools, that maybe some white children were getting upset because they found out what some of their forefathers or some of their ancestors did. But how do you think Black people feel?
Right.
We find, when we would find out what was actually happening. So that woke thing and getting rid of the history, like, that's those are two of the biggest things that I can't believe that some Black people jump on the band.
Is there anything that you see that you can understand it from some point where they would take this stance?
Hell no. So do you go to Germany and tell the German people not to teach about Hitler? You know, do we not teach about people killing in World War I and World War II? History is going to always be full of things that wasn't that pleasant.
Right.
But why is it the Black history that we have to remove? I think that's because Black history, it forces some kids to want to learn more, and part of not being woke is getting rid of Black history. You know what I'm saying?
And what do you think about teaching the history in home? Like, do you think it is a responsibility of parents to teach Black history?
Yes, I think that's probably where most Black kids should learn more of their history. Just learn about the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and I guess you have to spoon feed people. Give it to them according to their age. You know what I'm saying? You just can't give kids the total truth all at once. Like I remember when my son was in kindergarten, like his kindergarten teacher got real mad at me because I told son, man, it ain't no Santa Claus. You know, ain't no white man came down the chimney and gave you nothing. Me and your mom bought all this stuff. But I didn't know he was gonna go to school and tell all the other kids
that's what was gonna happen.
but I wanted my son to know the truth.
Yeah.
So I started out early teaching my son about Black history, but that it should be taught in schools though. Also.
Yes, as well, because for whatever reason then it was important to teach that. I don't know why it's not important now for it to be taught, just as a part of who we are, just to share the culture of, us as Black people. Now, as far as like the hate and the divide, whatever, and it's almost like I've seen some like, okay, that was way back then, get over it, but we still deal with racism today
Yeah.
in a different form, but we still deal with it. And so where does it come from? And then how do we overcome it? I don't think it'll be overcome if we haven't over all these years. It has gotten better. We have more rights, we have more tools and resources to kind of fight with one another. But I think it'll always be something of us, amongst us. But how do we get together as a Black community and educate our people as well as ourselves? Because sometimes, and I mentioned on Monday that before I just knew to vote, it was just in my spirit for me to vote, and even though I didn't understand the whole voting system and how it would impact us, and so I did vote Democrat because that is what our society, what our culture is. We have represented the Democratic Party, and other than the Republican. So it was just like a thing. But I did, as I got older and like I said, became more responsible and holding myself accountable for doing my civic duty, I started to study more and look at what was going on, what was on the ballot, what was trying to be change or what they were trying to do, just so I can make a well-informed vote when I go vote as I got older. But it did take me growing up and starting to care, because you just know it on the surface, and I don't think people care enough to really get deep down inside and see what it is that affects them or how it impacts us on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Well, just going back to what you said, the importance of Black history and dealing with racism. I think that Black history being taught helps us on two fronts. First of all, I think if Black history was focused on more, we wouldn't have the gang problem that we have. We wouldn't have like some of the drug problems that we have, because when you see that stuff happening to your people, like it always put in me, Black history promoted me to focus on black love. You know what I'm saying? It was like I just didn't take what was happening in Selma, Alabama, or down in Mississippi. Oh, I'm watching this now. I hate white people. No, it wasn't. But it did make me be like, my people have went through this, so I'm gonna focus on loving my brother more. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And help people more, and that's why I can't how so many Black people jump on that bandwagon like quick. Like, do y'all realize what you know? And then not only that, even for that part of white society that's scared of Black people because they think that they're dangerous, or they think that the young Black male is just wild. Well, maybe learn more about their history would help curb the gang problems and the drug problems and the prison problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything wrong with Black history. Nothing. There's nothing anybody can say to me to prove to me that teaching kids about Black history is wrong. Black and white.
That's harmful, yeah. Because it's just our history. And then we now are integrated. And so
Right.
it's black and white. We all are mixed in together.
Right.
So, it's the history or both. Like we have a history, we have our ancestors, and the white people have their ancestors and what they come from. And some people, it's just in their history, in their DNA, and then they learn and they are, saddened by how black people were treated by
Right.
their ancestors. And so it's just like I say, informational. It's information and it helps build you. But another thing is important is knowing who you are.
Right.
And sometimes knowing where you come from help you identify with who you are, and then even how you move forward. And again, if we focus on being who we are, we don't know what you may be into politics. You may be the next Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Frederick Douglass or, all of those. You may be that person and you may be the next Obama,
Right.
but you have to get into who you are and what you're going to contribute and not get caught up in the things that distract us, keep us oppressed, keep us away from making a difference. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important as well, is to build us up as individuals so we can be strong to fight like those that fought. Because right now, I don't think we that strong to fight, to
No.
fight that fight, because it's been weakened over the years the and over the generations. Ryan Williams, what he said, we have to connect to our disconnect, because we know. And then also, it should be definitely taught in home, just like the national anthem is taught. How many of our kids now that know that there is a national black anthem?
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like all of that is like that was one of the biggest shocks to me.
Mhm,
Like black people, like we so all over the place now when it comes to
mhm,
all have the right to, but
mhm,
just as a black person, I cannot support a person like Donald Trump who said there are some good Nazis. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
I can't support a person whose best friend, who is the richest person in the world, Elon Musk, got on national television and did the Nazi salute
mhm.
twice. And so we got, man, I don't care. I'm a Trump supporter. That I mean, it don't make me mad, but it hurts me. Like, how can you just sit up here and fall for the clickbait? Like, you had some black men saying,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, Trump like one of us now, man. That joker got them felonies." Yeah, but he got 34 and he can still run for president. Fool.
But you can't vote. You can't do nothing. Yours still a part of you.
But
The
right, but
restrictions.
Trump like us now. I'm like, how ignorant can you be?
Well, one thing I know a lot when it comes to what I've heard from, black men that support Trump or is for him, is this belief or the pathway to wealth, to money.
Right, right.
And
Well,
so
what does the good book say? For the love of money is the root, not root, the root to all evil. So,
it's the root.
and
You'll
so,
do anything. I say you'll sell your soul,
right,
for money. So I think that's more of, and then from a man that is the mentality being a protector, the provider, want to be in a place of position and power to have money, and that's your identity and how you um operate in the world.
right,
But like I said, that's not everything. It can't be about you. The people that fought for our rights, just to even be able to be on the same playing field, or even to be, remotely recognized, is to you have to my thought just went away in that moment.
get
But
back, come on
even
back.
just to be recognized like that is in alone, stand alone, that is something for you. It's just not about you. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm going with that. It's
Right.
not a place of a self. Yes, we do have to take care of ourselves, but it's always for the people. It's too. We wasn't here to be independent.
Right.
We were here to work together,
Mm-hmm.
as a whole.
Right.
And that's each one of us being responsible for ourselves, especially when we become adults, and what we contribute to the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what we contribute to ourselves, to our families, and things of that nature. But you have to be strong, a strong, built up individual.
Right.
And if we are underdeveloped, you know, miseducated, we have all these odds against us, you know, that is what we're working with.
Right, right. Okay, well, you know what? I will say, like, that's probably one of the biggest differences between our era and the civil rights era, because they focused on stuff that was for the people.
Right.
Everybody that was trying to get the civil rights bill, they wasn't like about, well, I'm just dealing with stuff just so I can get me some money.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
nah, that definitely wasn't a narrative.
stuff, or we're gonna denounce stuff that doesn't affect us, but we know that it's affecting our brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Our era is more, if it ain't affecting me, you know, I don't care.
Exactly.
But that's how they want us to be.
Exactly.
You know, that's how they want us to be, but at the same time, they can all rally together on some immigrants, or we got to build that wall.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about, well, man, if Trump can get me some money, I'm riding with the Republicans. You know, and that's their right. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like everybody has their right, even though, and there are some things that the Democrats do
Mm-hmm.
that just make people not like the Democrats. And I can understand some of that stuff. You know what I'm
Me
saying?
too. Yeah, I can see the pros and cons on both sides, honestly.
Right. Like, that's why you have a lot of black people that will say, "Oh man, you talking all this stuff? Joe Biden signed all them laws and called black people predators back in the 90s and signed them tough drug laws." And what they don't really know,
Kamala too. You know, they were saying that too.
a lot of black people jumped onto that bandwagon back in the 80s and 90s for them to sign them. It was black people. It was black people in the government that was signing those laws too, because what had happened, they lined drug dealing up with gang banging.
Mm-hmm.
People was doing them drive-bys and killing innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
The said anybody that's selling drugs is in a gang, and anybody
Mm-hmm.
that's in a gang will do a drive-by.
Mm-hmm.
So with these laws and one rock for 20 years and this and that, for everybody was, even people in the black community, because they had tired of them drive-bys and innocent, not realizing that you had a bunch of non-violent drug offenders caught up in those laws that ain't never pulled no gun on nobody, ain't never hurt nobody, but they 20, 30, and 40 years, and before you know it,
sentences, because Reese had 3 life sentences, non-violent.
For non-violent crimes. So now we got a man that got 34 non-violent crimes, felonies, and he is the president. You know what I'm saying? So you see the that's like a big thing to me. I think sometimes as black people we fall for the clickbait and not really getting down there and studying and trying to get to the truth.
Exactly.
So for a lot of black people, like, that's a big reason that they didn't support the Democrats. Another reason, like, which is some things I think that the Democrats went too far on. You know, them men being able to go in the girls' bathroom just because they say they're a girl, or boys trying to say that boys can
play the same sports with the women.
With sports, like, I don't agree with everything that the Democrats do. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to, like I said, would you rather get bit by a Chihuahua or a pit bull? I would get by a Chihuahua every time.
Chihuahua, you can handle that little Chihuahua bite, but that pit bull gonna be a little more vicious. That pit bull gonna lock up and not let go, baby.
So I see the Democrats as a Chihuahua and the Republicans as a pit bull. So that's how I'm rolling.
So that's how you do the leather. You take the little bite, not the big bite.
We get, like, I just wish we could study more and get more. But even after study, like, different people, like, you have certain people that vote Republican just because of the abortion issue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In which, no matter how you feel about it, I still feel like it's a woman's choice. You know what I'm saying? And So you have a lot of people that I'll never vote for Democrats because they're killing all these babies. But you could, the Republicans sending people over to war to die, or
And kill babies.
so all these unarmed black people getting killed with no police reform. A life is a life, as far as so.
I agree. A life is a life, exactly. Let me go to the comments. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We got some comments in here. Join in the discussion. What do you all think about us as a Black community as a whole when it comes to voting, and what we can do to change the narrative where we just don't care because we think it doesn't impact us when it really does. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Doretta. Hey, Doretta.
Hey, Doretta.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Oscar. Yeah, so what are your thoughts? And then on history, how informed are you on the issues that show up on the ballots that we have to vote for? Are you well informed, or are you following what our ancestors or our elders that followed the Democratic Party or even Republic? Like, I'm not against, the Democrat or Republic. I'm for the people. I'm for us all loving one another, us operating in our strengths, and us making a difference. Like, but really knowing, like, we cannot be a force if we are not strong, showing up strong in who we are as an individual, because that is what it takes, and that is what our leaders before us, that's what they did. They showed resilience, they showed strength, and they were determined for us to be treated. It's like, what's the saying? You stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Like, we have to stand for something, even if it's not for ourselves, because it's greatness in us. So like I said, we don't know who, like, even when the presidents was coming up and just like, who are the candidates? Like, it's almost like pulling teeth, like, who is a good candidate? Like, we need new, fresh minds and, new spirit, but that has to be woken up in us, and from a good place, not from a keep the same narrative, but really changing the narrative and being better than what, especially with what we want to see. What we want to see, being part of the change and not part of the problem that continues on and carry the same narrative and keep us divided.
Well, what I'll say as far, and I have to be honest, I was guilty for a long time. Like I told you, I am a Democrat, so I will the day to vote, I go get the poll. I'm Democrat. I ain't checking nothing, and I always focus more on the national elections as far as for president, this kind of stuff. But really, in all actuality, it's that local.
It was
your sheriffs, your city councils. That's who's really doing stuff that's going to affect you the most. So that's really the stuff that we should be into.
Yes, so the local votes. Yes.
I was guilty for a long time, and still kind of guilty now. I'm
You're not allowed.
I'm not. I can't fool with no Republicans because they flirt with the KKK too much. You know what I'm saying? And that's and I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But it's not hard to get some information on your local politicians, on it's really gonna be deciding the stuff that you deal with from day to day. Like, how gonna be taken out in taxes for your public schools, what kind of laws you have to do, what kind of judge you're gonna have, what kind of you're gonna have, what kind of whether it's the school board or the city. It's a lot of stuff locally. The local elections are probably more important than the national.
Yes, for state and local people, like, because everyone has their own thing, and that's one thing with the school, the education, like leaving it up to the state to to run the school system, the education system. So
Right.
that is important for you to be aware of what's happening in your state. And like I said, only a little bit half of us voted in Arkansas.
Right. And with that being said about the local, I want to give a big shout out to Derek Ratliff, the first black mayor.
Yeah.
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 Cause that was very lovely. You know, our hometown, you know, being the first black mayor, that's awesome.
And
Yes, congratulations.
it was a lot of white people that voted for Derek too. I
Yes.
just, I'm talking about a lot, you know what I'm saying?
He's a good, yes.
So
Okay.
everything's not racial either. You know what I'm saying? Like you would be surprised at the number of what, you know how when I get on Facebook, my political stuff, it's more white people that reach out to me like, yeah, you spot on. Yeah, you right. You know what I'm saying? So so everything is not racial, but a lot of it, you know what I'm saying?
And when it counts, like I say, as far as like where we stand and we can be, you know, spectators or, you know, doing something, actively trying to do something, like on our level, we can have a common ground. Like I say, it's the masses and it's the people above us that we don't have, you know, control unless we do show up and vote. That is where we have our voice. That is where our voice is the loudest, and it can't be taken in vain like it's just nothing. At least you can say I did vote. And if it don't work out, it's not, well, I didn't vote because it's such and such, or I don't think this and that. It's I showed up, I voted, and it is what it is. And it's just like you can do what you can do. You can be the best you can. You can worry about, you know, what you're going to contribute. You can't worry about the next person. You can't worry about the people that are in charge now, that are making you can to an extent, but not to the point again that it causes a even more divide, but also just educating ourselves and educating, you know, the people behind us, the youth, and what is important and why voting is important and the changes and the impact that it has on you locally, and then, you know, on a national from aspect. So, you know, just have to be informed. And that was the thing that keep us ignorant, is not being informed, not even caring. But we gonna say now we have the social media world, you know, where you did it.
I'll say, and this is what is tricky about social media. 70% of the stuff that's on social media is lies. You know what I'm saying? Because you really have to, and I think that's where a lot of people got caught up. Like you have both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, I think, put out stuff just like I said, it's clickbait. If you don't look at it, you will really believe, like, it's so many people that voted Republican that really believe that it was black people in whatever state it was, like Donald Trump, they're eating the dogs. And, you know, people really thought that immigrants just going around and jumping in people's backyard. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't study and get into it, that you will believe you just can't scroll down and the first thing you read, that you don't look at the source, you don't look where it came from. So social media is good on one, you know, in one way, but then in another way it's bad because you have people that purposely put stuff out there just to trick people up.
Just to mislead you and cause confusion. And that's, again, why it's important for us to do our due diligence and not just take a person, a word. You can't just take that as true. You have to study, and number one, see who the source is, see if it's credible. Sometimes you can tell that this is not a credible source, you know, but they know how to create content that gets the attention, and it's psychological too. So you really have to be on your stuff and make sure that you are doing what you need to do and make informed decisions, because that's what it comes down to. And thank you, Mr. Ryan Williams. You have been giving good feedback here. In a nutshell, we have to be diligent in educating each other, be consistent, have an open dialogue on all levels. Yes, and especially that impacts us. Just so at least, and then this goes for leaders. people in a position of leadership that do care, that do the work, that do the research, and then bring it to your platform if you have a platform. I'm going to talk about the things that I learned that helped me to elevate and evolve as as an individual, and then just a leader myself, and being able to, what I care about in my community, what I care about us as a people, and where we are mentally and emotionally, and but that it can affect us physically. Just how we worry about stuff and stress about things that we can't change, or things that impact us, but just being in a place of just taking care of yourself, your well-being, so you do have what you need to fight and want to fight. But you do have to be involved. You do have to be engaged, or it's not going to happen. We're going to stay disconnected as a people. But again, when we are in a position to educate, then we have to keep having a conversation, keep providing the information, because as easy as they feeding themselves just scrolling and doing just listening to anybody that is not for us, or just for us to grow as a people and evolve as a people and change the narrative, like that information flooding the timelines, that's planting the seed. And we have to do that as leaders of the community that wants to see change and wants to see us to grow. And then we can't save everybody, or not everybody's not gonna hear us, but doing your part is what matters.
And then, like I said, you can't save everybody. We have to realize
that
I feel like it's a lot of people that don't vote because they say the Democrats full of it, the Republicans full of it. It's true, but
it is.
But if you don't vote, they're just gonna keep on it's gonna keep getting worse and worse. I feel like a lot of our people, we are politically lazy, if that's a right word. Like, because knowledge is power. And the more you know, the more you can make good conscious decisions. But if we spend a little more time into politics and take a little bit of time away from Housewives of Atlanta, or the Dallas Cowboys, all that stuff we spend all
the time and energy in.
Take a little bit of time just to study up on the stuff that involves politics. Then once you get in there, your eyes will be open to so much. You know what I'm saying?
It really will. And then you will be able to relate yourself, and you not dependent on someone else to tell you something that may or may not be true, or may or align with you. Because then if it don't align with you, even if you are listening to someone, you're gonna reject it. You're not even open to really understand what someone has to say, and they trying to educate you on something. And then just from your response, sometimes it do be teachable moments, but then someone will completely reject you, and I'm not going to argue with anyone. I start to have a conversation, but if it becomes a debate, I'm not debating like that. But I will, offer what I have, and then I'm always open to learn. So I learn from, people, and then if it's something it's going to agree with me, or let me do some more research, because facts is important. Making a decision, and especially when it affects how you feel and what you think, you want to make sure that your judgment and your decision and how you feel or how you perceive something is coming from a factual standpoint, or and not from lies and deceit that is meant to keep you at odds with yourself and with your people.
Exactly. Like I said, you have to get in there, and you have, and it really doesn't take a whole lot of time. You just go through your sources. But like me, like, you just can't watch Fox News or CNN and think that you got it. You got to get in there and dig deep a little bit. But politics does affect our lives. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason that I've got into it. And but it's kind of puzzling, because the more you get into politics, the more I realize, like, in a lot of ways, Black people were just being treated different. These laws, or with like the education in our schools. But what I came to realize, it's almost like we got a lot of Black people like, man, I don't want to talk about this stuff. It is what it is. We always be treated different, and we always. I'm like, man, Y'all cool with that? So y'all cool with just saying it's gonna always be different for black folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
It's fighting. Some people just don't have the energy. People are just not fighters, but it those we have people that are, we all have our own calling, so it's just about getting those people that do want to fight and do want to have a conversation, that do want to enlighten us, so we're not still operating from a place of oppression or even suppress. Even if you do have a voice, you're not confident enough to share your voice because it's just too much, and you don't want to get your hands dirty, you don't want to be involved, and that has to do a lot with it as well.
Right.
But that's why I say, if you can align with yourself and your values, you can see that, then that confidence comes up, and your voice, you find your voice.
Right.
Some of us have to find our voice to even be able to speak, or have the courage enough to speak your mind.
Right. Speaking of voice and speaking of calling, I'm going to take the time now to announce on your show,
Mm-hmm.
I found my calling. I will be running for governor against Huckabee in the next election. First, I'm going to send cash out so y'all
send your cash out. I'm not going to play with you. Put your cash out, you running for governor next.
I need your vote.
We need to get in the rooms, and I think what they have, like town hall meetings and things like that, just to take time out to get involved and see.
So many things, and I say this because I know there are Black people that are Republicans,
mm-hmm.
but get involved with your local Republican Party, just to go to some of these meetings and hear what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you a Democrat, be part of the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
Get on their website, and that way you can see and not just go for what people tell you.
Right.
Because like the old I got, I've always wanted to learn for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go for what you tell me. I'm gonna go get in there, and then I'll make a decision after that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing all these people come in. I see my classmate Tanisha said some. I see Bug.
Yeah, Bug came through. We need to come together as a whole. Things are real. Our mayor, Derek Rapp was on, so he see the shout out. Thank y'all so much. And Tanisha, yes, our mayor is great. Yeah. Ty Ebony, Yolanda, do your own research and stop voting for who the next person vote for. Get to know what the candidates are about yourself. Amen. There can be no progress without stress. Mm-hmm.
True.
Just getting involved, yes, just and it's again, what do you care about? Like, what are your life? And I think when people are living a life that they're still able to survive, they do not care so much about what's happening overall until you are impacted, and then it's like, whatever, you hope and wishing that everything work out right, but you're not in a position to really ensure that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because you have not done the work.
Like for me, the reason that I'm involved in politics, a lot of stuff doesn't even affect me personally,
mm-hmm.
but I about my people. Like I'm not mm-hmm. affected by no immigrants coming over here working, or mm-hmm. I'm not by them cutting food stamps. I ain't getting no mm-hmm. food, but I think about if you cut food stamps, all of the little kids that might go hungry, or
Medicare, and
right. So that doesn't affect me, but I have a love for my people. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? Well, I ain't gonna say my people. I have a love for people.
For our people, yeah.
In general,
mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody to go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've worked with I worked in school systems, and I know if you take that free lunch out of school, for a lot mm-hmm. of people, that's the only meals that they get. So,
it's good.
So if you take away breakfast and lunch, which the Republicans are trying to
mm-hmm.
do, mm-hmm. so when are those kids gonna eat?
So speaking of that, now the system, and this is what been one of the cons from the Democratic Party, having all that assistance that enabled people to develop and evolve into self-sufficient, being able to take care of themselves, where some people end up getting what do you the word I don't addicted, or they
Yes, yes,
became complacent with the support,
yes.
and where their lifestyles was a battle.
And
Like,
you know
the
what?
support wasn't never meant for you to be on it
Right,
forever.
right.
But if you have people that's on there forever, and so how do we
Right. You know what?
address that?
That's a complex problem.
It's
That problem
very complex.
came with the Great New Deal
Mm-hmm.
back what the early 70s, when they told women that you can't have a man in the house, but the more babies you have, the more food stamps you'll get and the more money you get. I'll be the first to admit we have got addicted to that system in a sense as a people.
Right.
But you can't just cut it off and make the kids suffer
Yes.
of grown people's problems. We have to
Mm-hmm.
slowly to
Mm-hmm.
slow off of that system. But I will say that I do feel like that welfare system did cripple Black people in a sense, because you have people that's like, I'm not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm just
For
gonna have
what?
babies
You
and I'm
got
gonna
everything you need. You
right,
got housing, food, everything. So why do I work? And that's why I say it can enable, you can help somebody so far, but if you help them continuously and not let them allow themselves to, bring themselves up to a place to where they are operating, can be self-efficient, then that's a different thing. That's a different, but now we got decades and decades of this happening. So yeah, this is a shock factor to, our
right,
community, is
right,
figure it out, and then you have to think about, like, if they cut out everything and the parents can't get to work, they can't get to work to keep a job,
right,
now you're out, you can't support yourself. What's going to happen then? We already had Black on Black crime,
right.
now, and they due to poverty. Now, if you even more put in a hard place,
Right.
the rock in a hard place, what's going to happen? And it's like, I don't care, figure it out.
Right.
So then now we got an opportunity, that people, leaders in position, that to create things that is going to fill the gap, because if it happens because of the position and the people that are in office now, that going to either support it, or it's going to be a fight. Hopefully it's a fight to the point that it just doesn't happen. But if it does, what then? What are we going to do?
Right. Well, I'll say, I think that like I said, the welfare system has crippled us.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of these people that you are hooked on assistance and you've been used to getting assistance, with the people we have in office now, you probably need to come up with another plan, because they're about to cut a lot of stuff. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and it's going to get cut in a way that a lot of people is going to feel it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so we really need to be mindful of that, because at the same time they're cutting all this stuff, they're also building prisons more and more.
That's another thing. Y'all say it's
Yeah.
always some odds against us as a people, and that's why we can't afford to be against one another.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
We
so,
can't afford it. And hopefully, I don't know if it'll, that'll be something that we'll come together as one, but it's definitely something to think about
mm-hmm,
and put into perspective, because like I say, it can only get worse, before it get better. And especially if we don't change the narrative and don't change our mindset
mm-hmm,
about what it
mm-hmm,
means to have a voice, to exercise your rights, and then to make a difference, or at least starting with yourself in your
mm-hmm,
home, and then just doing your part, again, the civic duty to go out and vote, and get involved and know what it is that we're up against today. Not from the past. We know what our past looked like, but right now, today is happening. Things are happening. Changes are being made, and it's nothing we can do about it, but we have to learn to adapt and fill in the gap where we can.
mm-hmm. Well, I would say there are things that we can do. I think the Black church can do more. I think the Black organizations can do a whole lot more. The fraternities, the sororities, the
That's what yes.
the NAACP. Like, nobody is really focused. Like, everybody, we all You know what I'm
It's a
saying?
distraction. Like let's say it was all meant to cripple us, and if we are mentally are at odds with ourselves and with one another,
Right.
what can we do? There's no power in that.
Right. That's true. So I feel like personally we can do a whole lot, and then as far as we can collectively come together
Mm-hmm.
and do more. But if we don't, things are just gonna keep on being the same. But we have
Mm-hmm.
administration that's in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Donald Trump, the orange pea grabber himself. They about to shake some stuff up. They about to shake some stuff up. And you're gonna have a lot of
They
people.
already taking it up, baby.
You're gonna have a lot of people that voted for that fool that's about to feel. I ain't got no love for him. You know what I'm saying? But he is president.
He did one thing I do like. What is her name? She was a black lady. She was in the drug laws. You know that she was had life, but he pardoned her and made her the pardon Caesar. You know, if she's gonna look over the thing and be able to make the suggestions that he will. If he say, you know,
But
if she says it's good, then you know he's gonna pardon
right, see,
people.
that's what I'm saying. That's part of that clickbait
That's
too.
a
Because
clickbait.
listen, he'll free her, but he's still letting police do whatever they want to do.
Right.
He not changing none of those laws. I want somebody. If you want to impress me, come out with a blanket law. Every non-violent criminal
Mm-hmm.
should be let out of jail. Jail
Right.
for violent people.
If they done served so much
Right.
time
Yeah.
already.
So that letting that one person out making huzzah. See, that's all letting Lil Wayne take a picture with him and do that's clickbait. That's no do something
That's
that's gonna
not enough,
do
huh?
something that's gonna affect everybody. I mean, all those people that has been wrong. Now, you let all them people out that did that on January 6th.
Right. So you definitely got
You
the power to
you
do
are
that.
all of them, and
Mm-hmm.
they were violent, calling the black police officers niggas
Mm-hmm.
and trying to kill folks. All of them got pardoned.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. So I don't fall for the clique. I
I'm
don't fall for it.
with you. That's a
Give
valid point.
me, yeah, I'm not going for Trump. You know. But
The devil is
but
a lie.
but at the same time, I will give him props if they get that passed to where people will not be taxed for their overtime.
Mm-hmm.
That's something good. Like it's some good things that he's doing. People will not be taxed for their overtime is positive, and people that work in restaurants, waitresses and waiters, they won't get taxed on their tips. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so anti-Republican that I can't admit to when something is good though. But see,
Right.
that's the kind of stuff that the Democrats should be focusing on.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But instead, we trying to make sure boys can go in the girls' bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff that the Democrats gonna have to clean up.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's what they say. They think the Democratic Party, you know, like over the years, they supported the Democrat so long to where they are tired and they do want to see something different. And you know, President Trump is showing that it's something different, but at the same time, he ain't taking no, he taking no prisoners, baby. It's just, but
Trump is the bully, and the Democrats he be bullying them boys. He is straight up, and that's what I give him his props on. Like I've never seen anyone in American history that can really do what they want to do.
baby, he said, I'm gonna be the one to let you know and show you.
Yeah,
And he knew that, and
I
he,
mean,
you know, a lot of the
I,
stuff he, go ahead.
I see how he moved, and I wish, and part of me, as much as I love Obama,
Mhm.
I'm like, Barack could have had a little bit more of that. No, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah,
You know,
because
but
I'm in authority and I got the power to do so.
hey,
So it's my way or the highway.
you know, so like that's one thing. I ain't gonna say I admire Trump for that.
Mhm.
I have to be honest and like he flexed his muscle.
Well, hey, so yeah, so that's where we at. We know what some things that we can do, to, like I say, fill in the gap for our people, start having a conversation, getting with people, talking to people that has the same mind when it comes to that. And it don't take nothing but a little effort to put together, and then especially we have the same goal and have an agenda to ensure that we are filling in that gap and we are providing the information that is needed to help people make informed decisions, or just to wake people up to care.
Right.
Like say, not trying to sway your vote or who you vote for or why you vote, but at least be engaged, be involved, know what it is, and not being pulled like a puppet string just by the people that are, do have platforms and are using it, how they are using it to uh, pass good information, bad information, confusing conflict,
Right.
all of that. So we are in a position. We in a information era. We have technology. It's really no reason now for you not to be able to do your research and get in alignment with what you care about and being part of the problem. That's the thing, because unity do, and I say together we stand, divided we fall. We see that every day, as a people. You ain't got to take my word for it, just look around.
I'll say this, let me give you your props, because it's stuff like this and podcasts like this that's getting people, and I'm proud of you. You
Thank
know what I'm
you.
saying? Stay on it. You from Newport. You from and so
From the tab.
Jackson County. You know what I'm saying?
Already.
So, no, it's all good. I mean, I think one thing, when stuff gets so bad, I'm not saying that I hope we have to go through this, but sometimes rough times will force people to have to get
Most
together and
definitely.
start
Yes.
thinking. But I'm gonna support whatever you do. Let me get my little shameless
Yes.
plug. Get off here.
Yep, it's time for us. Go. What is 8:08, and then you all Ken Bright, he also hosts at Gigi's every Thursday night. I've been there a couple of nights. I'm actually going to go tomorrow, and it's always a good time. So make sure you go out and support him.
Yeah.
And Gigi's Thursday night, it starts at 7 p.m.,
And
right?
doors open at 7, showtime at 8, good time guaranteed. If you don't have a good time, I might give you money back.
You might. You heard that's a might. But I think you will have a good time. I've enjoyed myself, and I always enjoy myself, coming here live. And I thank each and every one of you who engage in the conversation and comment. I do appreciate it, and just showing up and viewing and, watching us. So thank you all so very much, because you are love, I am love, and God is love, and we can definitely change the world with love. So on that note, we are signing off. You all have a good night. Bye-bye.
All
Thank you,
right.
Art, so much for joining and sharing your perspective and insight on our vote, our voice,
For sure.
our voice vote.
All right, for sure. And I
Okay.
don't like Donald Trump. Bye.